Hey guys, so I was flying my FT Spitfire and I was thinking about putting a bomb dropper on it, but instead of cannibalizing the fuselage and putting a servo in with the rubber band on the other side, I wanted to have something that was removable. And so I came up with basically a bomb dropper attachment that goes underneath, in between the wings, and it's held on by the rubber bands underneath the FT Spitfire. So what I did was I drew it up. This is my prototype. This is just kind of my first attempt. But I drew up the plans, which they'll be linked right underneath it. I think I might even post a picture on the flight test forum. But this is what I'm going to be building today, is the FT Spitfire swappable bomb dropper. Okay. Now that you've got your piece cut out, you're going to notice that there's 3 score cuts, your 50% score cuts right here, and that's going to be for your folds. Every fold on this is a B-style fold, so that means your side piece, wait, is it A-style or B-style? Your side piece is going to sit on top of your bottom piece. This is the bottom of the bomb dropper. This is the top of the bottom. This is the top of the bomb dropper. So A-style folds. Okay, so you're going to go ahead. Wait. Yeah, that's an A. Okay. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to pull those pieces out. Now you're going to notice on the side plates here, you've got 1 notch, that's for your servo, and you've got 1 right here, that's for the cord to come through. And then over here, you've got an anchor point. And this is where you're going to glue your rubber band down, and it's going to ride in between that side plate and the top plate of the bomb dropper, kind of like that, and it's going to come up and over. But you're going to hot glue it on the inside and on the top when you glue the top piece down to give it a greater amount of strength, so that when you pull on the rubber band to secure your load, it's not going to pull out. So let's actually do that now. And I'm just going to take it and pinch it, but I'm going to spread it out a little bit so both sides get a lot of glue on them to anchor them down. Whew, that's warm. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to start doing, before I do that, you also notice on the bottom plate here, you've got your dotted lines. That's going to be your score it with a barbecue skewer and pull up on it to get your angle. Okay, so now we got those. Let's go ahead and do our A-style folds. And now I should have done this before I glued, but you need to cut that notch for the servo out before you glue the side plate because it makes it just a little bit more difficult to pop that out after you glue it. But there it is. Okay, now before we glue the top piece down, because once you get that down, you're done. We're going to want to go ahead and put it in place and just bend those up just to make sure that they intersect nicely. Now what we did on this top plate, they're both the same length with the exception of, or they're both the same width, but they've got a 1/4 inch off of each end for the top plate. So go ahead and mock it up and make sure that intersects nicely. You can have a little bit of a gap right here, and you can go, after you're done gluing it, you can go and take your knife and just slice that off. And on the back side, that should be just about perfect. Okay, now let's go ahead and before we've got that glued down, let's go ahead and take your knife and notch out where your servo wire is going to come through. Okay. Ooh. So now, go ahead and take your servo. I used the Turnigy 9 grams from Hobby King. And go ahead and snake that guy through. Now using both fingers on the back side of that side plate, go ahead and push her down into position. And make sure to untangle those. Okay, so you've got your servo there. Go ahead and secure it. Okay, now you're good. Now before we go ahead and glue the top plate down, let's go ahead and you can open that up just a little bit more and go ahead and put your bead of hot glue and then go ahead and push down it. I like to lift up the back end of it. That way you're not trying to grab on this side of it and burn the heck out of your fingers. Burning fingers is never a good thing. Now this one didn't take near as long as the back one did last time when I built the prototype. Just because this back one is such a steep angle, it took a little bit longer for the glue to dry, but you can always go on the inside and reinforce it. Okay, so the front's done. Go ahead and you can still wipe off any excess glue. Go ahead and push the back one up into place. And while you're doing that, holding that in place, you can go on the inside and just put a little bit of glue. And if you've put a little too much to where it spurts out when you push it together, just take your scrap and wedge it into place. And this one is going to take a lot longer to dry just because you're putting so much tension here. You could, I guess you could even go back and do a 50% score cut and bevel it so when you bring it up, it sits a lot nicer. You're not trying to compress this amount of foam. I mean, hell, that's a 45-degree angle. So you're not trying to compress all that foam in there. Okay, that's dry. Go ahead and take your servo wire, run it out the back, and you're just going to want to just line it up. There's going to be enough of a gap here that even if you glue it and the servo wire ends up over here, you can still pull it back and get it into place. This is just a nice notch for when you assemble the bomb dropper onto the wing. You can pull it up and go behind the back side or the trailing edge of the wing and still plug this into your power pod into the receiver. So now when we do the rubber band, make sure, just for height wise, so you don't have a huge bump here, make sure that both pieces of the rubber band are side by side, not sitting on top of each other, because it will make a big bulge that your hot glue is going to have to compensate. So go ahead and start your glue, avoid the servo. And go ahead and fold that over. Now pressing upside down, or flip it upside down and press it against the table until it dries. Make sure to put special emphasis right around where the rubber band goes, because you want that real tight. You don't want it to bulge over. You want a nice strong connection right there, because when you put whatever you're going to be dropping, it's going to put pressure or tension against that piece, and so you really want that secure. Okay, that's it. Now you can go, you can see you've got a little bit of a gap there. You can take your knife and shave it off. I'm not really concerned about it because it's going to be sitting flat up underneath the wing. This is just a scrap piece of foam. It's going to be sitting flat up underneath the wing. I think it'll give it just a little bit more contour like that. It's not a huge deal. And then go ahead and just slide your servo wire back here. You can even hot glue it in place if you want. Just a little dab, because like I said, this is going to be sitting at the back edge, or the trailing edge of the wing. And so you're going to want to run that up in between the wing and the fuselage so that you can plug it into the receiver in your power pod. Anyway, that's it. That's your FT Spitfire swappable bomb pod. Thank you for watching.